It's Sunday night. It's 8 o'clock. Welcome to All Lacrosse Live. I'm Gary Groob in Toronto. With me, as always, I have Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw. Shawn, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Thanks, Gary.
Excellent. And I have Muffler Mike over in Connecticut. Mike, how are you?
Shawn, don't you have 21 reasons to be
Yeah.
elated?
I think my eyes went crossed after that game.
I'm doing all right.
That's always good to hear. You know, this guys scare me when you always take time. Like, what's wrong with my computer now? Well, we got a great show for you tonight. As always, we have a busy week in the NLL. We had 8 games. We have some ALL for you. We're going to take a look at who's hot and who's not, and just kind of touch the surface on that and a few other things along the way. Pat will be with us at some point as well, talking about wings and things. But just before we get rolling, as always, just a reminder to everybody that episodes are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, also Twitch, also on Spotify. Please remember to hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons. Always share. Please enjoy all of our affiliates across the Streampunk Entertainment Network. If you missed a show, no worries. You can catch all the shows on YouTube, which include Streampunk Cinema, Streampunk Combat, Streampunk Sports, or, of course, All Lacrosse All the Time. And when you get to All Lacrosse All the Time, A, please subscribe. B, please take a look at all of the retro games, interviews, library of shows, press conferences, fights, all kinds of things on there. More coming all the time. Also, remember, you can stay up to date by visiting streampunkentertainment.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. Also, a reminder that our show is brought to you by 60. 60 is Canada's newest and most exciting sports uniform and teamwear brand, delivering top quality uniforms and teamwear that reflects the spirit and identity of each team. Their commitment to innovation and style excellence sets them apart, ensuring that every customer experiences the perfect blend of style and functionality. Unleash your greatness with 60. Remember to add LACSTOCK10 for a 10% discount on your order. You can check them out at Instagram at sweet_60. Or you can go to email them at info.sweet60@gmail.com, or go right to their website at www.sweet60.ca/60, or hit the QR code, which is in the center of your screen. Jim and his associates will take care of you, giving you an absolutely fantastic order. Oh, guys, it was Gale's night, hence the Gale shirt behind me. And just a little background on this. This was on the video board yesterday evening, and let's have a look at. Let me find it before. Here we are.
Family honor, pride, and tradition is just not 4 words that we're throwing together. It's an honor to wear that jersey based on the past success of the Gales.
This organization now going into our 80th season. It's a big milestone for the Green Gales Lacrosse Club. I'm going all the way back to when Jim Bishop started this organization. I'm moving it from Huntsville to Toronto to Oshawa, now playing out of Clarington.
When the Green Gales started up in '63, that was their first year of operation in Oshawa. He was preaching his system of lacrosse. He was a run and gun coach.
He was always going to have the best conditioned team in the league. In the Gales system, everyone did the same thing, the same way, the right way, every time.
We were Ontario champions, qualifying for the Minto Cup, and played against the Victoria Shamrocks. Well, it was a great experience. For Jim Bishop, it probably was a great relief to finally get in the Minto Cup and win the Minto Cup. This caused quite a bit of excitement locally here.
We talk about sports records a lot. It's my opinion that that's one that'll never be broken. There's 7 national championships in a row.
Our whole area became such a lacrosse hotbed from teams like that.
Winning 7 Minto Cups back to back to back, the Green Gales left a really lasting impression on a lot of people. And we see a lot of them starting to come back out to watch the Green Gales in Junior B in Clarington, and we see that kind of tied together from the older days to now.
I personally would like to thank the Firewolves for honoring the Oshawa Green Gales and Jim Bishop This would certainly put a smile on Jim Bishop's face to have a professional team here. It'll bring back lacrosse here to where it was in the heyday of the Green Gales, for sure.
And it has been my honor to be part of this organization for the last number of years. And just a fantastic group of people, and from top to bottom. And looking forward to going back to Herbeski and doing some other things. And there will be another get-together from what I'm hearing in May, which is Jim Bishop's actual birthday in the middle of May. So keep tuned, and we will let you know what's going on there. Oh. Good to have you with us, Michelle. Thank you. But hey, it's been a great week. The Gales actually were honored on the floor at halftime, and just a little look of some of the older faces on there. In the background, of course, in the dark jersey shirt is Johnny Davis, shooter. So always great to see him. A lot of fun. And of course, when the Firewolves were wearing a Gales jersey, what happened? Yeah. The magic in the shirt, guys. I think maybe they should go strictly to that logo. Start putting this stuff on, and hey, good things happen. It is a record that'll never be broken. I don't think 7 Minto Cups in a row. Just astounding.
Yeah.
But hey. Lots of stuff otherwise going on, of course. We had some milestones this week. We had Doug Jamieson, who made his 4,000th career save. We had Nick Rose, who made his 7,000th career save. We had Ethan Walker, who had his 100th career goal. And something that for all you people who think that Rochester is going to move to Timbuktu or, wherever else you're going to think of, Grand Rapids. Okay. Yesterday's attendance was 8,546. The best of this new era of Nighthawks. I told you guys it was climbing. I told you interest was back. The proof is now in the pudding. Thoughts, guys? Shawn?
I mean, it's a great record. It probably doesn't help, too. It was Buffalo that was in, and they're both teams competing for likely a championship spot. So, I know there were quite a few Buffalo fans there as well. And that, hey, a seat is a seat, right? A button in the seat is a button in the seat. So, doesn't matter what jersey they're wearing. So, it's great to see.
Absolutely. Mike, what do you think?
Absolutely, and I mean it can only get better if they can make a deep playoff run.
Yeah, I agree too. But I think it's going to be an exciting season. So strap up. Next week, Toronto's in town, so I'll be up there for that game as well, and should be an exciting time. Toronto looked like they found their mojo on this weekend also, and we'll get into that. And of course, CJ Kirst is the epitome of what a first overall pick is supposed to be. And he hit the ground running, and boy, did he ever run all over San Diego. Anyways, we'll get up to that in a few minutes. But first of all, let's get into a couple of ALL things, because they had their full slate of weekend games. Some interesting things, as always, it seems to be now. Nothing is ever a given. I had mentioned to you guys that this was the litmus test. Peterborough went into Brampton on Friday, and there was one little caveat. Aaron Woods didn't come with Peterborough, and he is their leading scorer. So you can take 9 points off the board right away. Well, without those 9 points, Peterborough loses 17-8. Interesting. If Aaron Woods is there, how much closer a game could this be? I think quite a bit closer. That is their scoring punch. But if he gets called up, then that's that too, right? Of note, Mateo Baudouin was in net for Brampton, and he made 37 saves on the evening. Only let in 8. He was the first star of the game as well. So there's a name that I think we should be listening for that might be making some noise down the road a little bit. Penn Istrat was the second star. He had a goal and 5 assists, as well as Riley Morgan, who had an assist, but he was all over the place trying to patch up the bleeding for Peterborough. For Brampton, leading the way was Curtis Ward with 2 goals, 5 assists. Zach Sunderland, 2 goals, 5 assists. Jake McNabb had another spectacular day with 4 goals and 3 assists. Jeremy Searle also was another facilitator with a goal and 4 assists. For Peterborough, Cam Milligan had another decent night with 2 goals, 3 assists. Nolan Downey with 2 goals and an assist. Rounding out their scoring was Austin Lamoureux, Zach Thompson. Angus Rodding had a goal, as well as Will White for the Timbermen. We move into Saturday over at the Rock Athletic Center. And the Toronto Monarchs hosted the Paris River Wolves. And it's taken a little while for the Monarchs to get rolling this year with some new additions and subtractions. But the last few weeks, they've looked pretty good. And, well, they looked very good on this afternoon, in which they beat the Paris River Wolves 18-8 on the day. And looking at the statistics here, Isaiah Moran Weeks had a goal and 5 assists. The one to take a look at, though, was Tanner Buck. He had 6 goals on the day. Cody Innes had 2 goals, 3 assists. Ty Jesso had a goal. Jordan Dance had a goal, as well as Riley Ford and Liam Aston. Also, in transition, Patrick Thompson had 3 goals, making a lot of noise for Toronto. For Paris, Caden Merritt had a goal, 4 assists. Ty Argent had 2 goals, 2 assists. Dylan Gillespie had 3 goals. Andy Campbell had 2 goals on the day. But really, it's time to take note of the Toronto Monarchs, who are seeming to find their way this year now, and should be a force. We go to this afternoon, and we had the Oshawa Outlaws, who've been struggling, against the Oswego Bears, who I said that this was going to be the test after the shellacking they took last week at the hands of Brampton. And, well, Oswego did come out on top, but they came out on top 12-11, and it got kind of scary near the end there because Oshawa put up a strong finish and just seemed to run out of time. But of note, Chase Martin in net for Oswego. He was the first star of the game. Alexander De La Ronde had 4 goals on the day for Oswego, was the second star. Cole Hanrahan for Oshawa with 3 goals, 2 assists was the third star of the game. And in the late game over in the ILA this afternoon, the Whitby Steelhawks, who also had been struggling this week or this year, faced the Six Nations Snipers, who over the last few weeks had been on a high. They'd won the last 2 games. Whitby, I figured, was just going to, take a little bit of time to gel. I had Nate Woods on the show on Thursday. We talked a little bit about that, and they were getting a little more accustomed with one another. And, well, they seem to put it together today. And, they come up with a 13-9 victory. However, this seemed to be the way the old Six Nations Snipers were, because Six Nations got out to a 4-0 lead after 1. In the second, Whitby came back, and it was 6-4 for Six Nations at the half. Still leading after 3. Where it fell apart was just coming to the end of the third. With 29 seconds left in the third quarter, Jonah Kerr from Whitby hit a power play goal, making it 8-7 for the Snipers. Now, enter the fourth. First of all, 41 seconds in, Curtis Connolly hits a shorthanded goal for Whitby to tie this game up. Whitby then rhymes off 5 of the next 6 goals to end this game and win 13-9. In essence, they took over this entire quarter. A little bit like Six Nations of old. I thought they had that out of their system, but we'll see. But I think Whitby is onto something here. And looking at the power rankings for this week, Brampton, of course, is sitting in number 1 spot. They are 4-1. Peterborough is sitting comfortably in the number 2 spot. Though they've had a couple of losses, they haven't been tremendous losses. And with a full lineup, I still think that they are going to be up in the top echelon. The Toronto Monarchs have moved their way into 3rd now, up 1 spot with their showings recently. Oswego went down 1 spot to number 4, sitting at 3-2 right now. Paris stayed where they are, but we'll see how that plays out because they've been up and down, hot and cold, kind of like tap water. Six Nations stayed where they are just because the last couple of weeks they've looked really strong, and one game does not make or break you. Whitby finally is out of the basement. They're sitting in number 7 with that victory and look like to be moving up the standings. I had mentioned to Nate Woods on Thursday, I really do think that before really no time, they're going to be in the top 4 looking down because they're just too talented a team to not be there. And Oshawa, they're still trying to find it, it looks like, and they are sitting in 8th at 1-4 right now. Well, and that is ALL for this week. Next week, looking at the games, we have on Friday in Oshawa, the Toronto Monarchs are facing the Oshawa Outlaws for the Friday evening game. Saturday, you have, again at the Children's Arena in Oshawa, the Oswego Bears against the Whitby Steelhawks, and that is definitely one to have a look at. And then you have the Six Nation Snipers facing the Peterborough Timbermen. If Six Nation wants to move up in this league, this is a game that they need to do it. On the Sunday, you have the Brampton Express facing the Paris River Wolves at a 2:00 game over the ILA. Another big game. And again, that's one I think that Paris would really need to have a good showing, start getting themselves moving up in the standings. But we'll see how that all plays out. Yeah, we can't play around one player. When it's Aaron Woods and he's getting 7 or 8 points in a game, that hurts when he's not in the lineup, though. I want to bring in Pat because, well, of course, Pat has all kinds of things to talk about. And maybe some of the Wings games, too. Hi, Pat. You're looking well.
Having a bad
I was watching
day.
some of Pat's some of his old wrestling videos earlier. He looks so young there.
Yes, like a little baby. But I don't know. I'm having a rough weekend. Wings stink. Eagles stink. I don't know. This is my norm. This is like the norm anymore. I was looking for a bag. I couldn't find that, so I found one of my Lucha Libre.
You know, my day's going.
What's that?
Just see how my day's going. My internet's playing games here again.
Yeah, I mean,
any day that ends in Y, it plays games here.
Yes. But I mean, listen, we got the good and the bad, right? We got the return of Michael Sowers. I mean, he had a strong first half. 7 points, not bad. 4 goals, 3 assists. He was cooking. He was creating his own shots, getting separation. Being a real problem for the Rochester Nighthawks. But to me, it was like Rochester Nighthawks said, "Listen, we'll give you the 5-1 start. Ready, set," and then they turn off the juice, and that's how it happened. Connor Fields, I mean, 9 points in this game, 3 goals, 6 assists. I mean, he didn't even score like he wanted to, and he still was able to cause damage. Now, if you're a Philadelphia Lacrosse fan, yeah, you got to enjoy Tom McVeigh and Zed Williams getting some goals. So, yeah, you got to see some Water Dogs make some goals if you're happy about that. But other than that, I mean, no, this is a little bit of a problem. And from what I saw, not good, not good. I mean, they were up 5-1 and quickly fell behind. But that's the difference between a championship contender to a team that's trying to get things right. Major difference. And if anything, Rochester said, Wings, you're on the cusp of something, but you're not ready yet. You are far, far, far leaps and bounds from what you want to get to. And this has happened. So again, 1-3 now. Now you got to get ready to go out to Vegas. Now Mitch Jones is going to be licking his chops, ready to thump this team. So to me, this is going to be doomsday all over.
Well, the wing killer is Connor Fields, and he has been over the history, and this was no different. Connor Fields had 3 more goals in this game, and really is a catalyst to how this team plays. Let's talk about the defense and how they just can't seem to stop him no matter what.
You know what? It's funny, Gary. You bring up about the defense. I mean, I feel bad if you're Isaiah Allen, who's been trying to slow down and stop Connor Fields, and right there in his face, he's like, "Look, I'm gonna chop you up. Ready? Watch this. Boom, boom, making goals, making assists, facilitating the rock." Like, he just gets cooked every time I see him trying to defend Connor Fields. Like, I gotta look at my, the defensive coordinator's like, look, we got to try and switch up some kind of formation. Listen, I would need to put 2 players on Connor Fields. Something's got to slow this guy down. He's reigning MVP. You got to learn to slow that cat down. I mean, like I said, I was watching Isaiah Allen, and he was just getting burnt, just getting cooked, just trying to hang with Connor Fields. And I'm like, that's just a bad assignment right there. It's just a mismatch. And Isaiah Allen is the taller defender. Still, I mean, Connor Fields can just do whatever he wants, whenever he wants.
Right. I also one of the sweetest goals I'd seen in a long time was actually Thomas McConvey, and he's a bulldozer. He is deceivingly big. He is deceivingly nimble for a big man, and he can just rip apart a defense going right down the middle.
Yes.
But
he certainly can. He can rip it apart. And it's funny, like I said, I was watching. He made some. They were making some great goals, and I'm like, is this summer yet? Can we get him in a Water Dogs jersey? Can I just get that going, please?
Yeah, I look at it and I think Rochester, for one, this weekend had a point to prove after last week.
Oh,
unfortunately, Philadelphia happened to be in the crosshairs for game number 1 of this, because actually, I think when we get to their second game, I think they played better in game 2 than they did against the Wings. I think they really showed the Bandits what's what. But for the Wings here, it took them a while to get moving, but once they got moving, then it was the Avalanche.
Right. Well, like I said, you knew, like, Gary, you just said it best. They just took a loss last week. You knew that that Rochester was going to come out hungry, and like you said, well, we're just going to get redemption. Whoever's next is just going to catch that beating. Well, here comes Philly. Unfortunately, they were the unsatisfied victim, and they caught a beating. And
right.
they just
it's also once the goaltending change happened, once they got Hutchcraft out and put Hartley in, all of a sudden everything changed. I don't know if it just woke up, a little wake-up call for the rest of the bench, because Hutchcraft's a good goalie, just having a little bit of a rough start. But Hartley comes in, the ship gets righted, and all of a sudden, here comes the juggernaut Nighthawk Groob.
Well, and you mentioned right too. Like, once the goaltending switch out came, once Hartley gets on the floor, that team knows better not to play like slop. And like I said, Michael Sowers, great start, got things rock and rolling when Hartley wasn't on the floor. But when he got on the floor, man, this was a different Rochester team quickly, and they answered and they responded at a different pace, fast. because when the big dog got on the floor, it was all over.
I also think that a number of little things also that he is a good passer. So right away, the transition game wakes up, and that puts Philadelphia on their heels because they're not sure where it's coming from. Whereas Hutchcraft isn't as good a passer, doesn't facilitate as much, whereas it's just a dump off pass and away they get moving. So I think it changes the idea of what Philadelphia's defense has to do and what they're expecting. So, and if you're prepared for one and you get the other all of a sudden, the adjustment didn't seem to happen, and at least not quick enough.
No, and like, like I said, when Hartley gets on the floor, it's a totally different story. I guess they were trying to save him and try and get him time to get ready for Buffalo and let the backup get some time against Philly. But then he was like, you know what? I'll handle this from here. I'll play tomorrow as well. You can take your night. Let me handle it. I'll take care of Philly. And that's what happened. And like you said, you're just not prepared. And like I said, as much as praise we want to give Connor Fields, you got to give Ryan Lenterberry, his kudos. He played very well. And like I said, they do a good job over there in Rochester. What they're doing now from a few years past, I mean, we always knew that they're a playoff team. But I think they're, like you guys said earlier, like they are elevated from playoff team to cup contender, and all they do is get everybody involved on the offense. Everyone's in the score column. I mean, most times than not, everyone's in the score column facilitating or scoring goals, and it's hard to keep up with those guys. Like I said, Isaiah Davis-Allen, trying to for years trying to slow down Connor Fields and just can't hang with him. It's just nothing against him. He's a taller defender. Just whatever it is, it's just I'm going to cook you every time you're on the floor with me.
Well, Rochester takes great pride in saying that everybody eats, that they really like to pass that ball around and everybody gets an opportunity, that they don't key on one guy, they key on everybody. And it's really hard to defend if you got Ryan Smith going, if you have Kyle Waters going, if you have Ryan Smith going, if you have Connor Fields going, we have Brad McCulley moving along there as well. It's tough to say, well, we can key on him and we can double team him, and then you're leaving everybody else open, and that makes it a really difficult evening for your goaltending. And away we go. You can't really blame Nick Mood because he's making a lot of saves.
No, and it's just I'm not mad at Nick Demuth. I think he's actually. I was a little bit, I was ready for the goalie change, and I know still Deke Knock is still the future of this team, but for what he's doing now, I'm not calling for the goalie change yet. And like you said, it just became too much for him. Again, this is just what you have to prepare for a team like Rochester. Again, everybody from the starting lineup to bench guys to mascot, I mean, everyone gets on the board. This is a good team they got going over there, and it's a well-coached squad. They know what they're doing. They come in and just say, hey, listen, our plan is to win games, thump Philly, and get on to Buffalo next. And that's what this team does. They know how to win.
Right. Well, while I got you here, I might as well bring this on up for us, and that is, of course, this little doohickey here.
All right.
Look at that, eh? Pat and I are sitting at 6-2 this week. Mike and Shawn are at 5-3, and Caden with a 500 of 4-4. Man, I look good though, man. I was 5-0 after the first night. I thought, boy, this is the one I get on back. And, But looking at our statistics, take a look how we have tightened up here. I'm sitting number one there at 22-13, but right on my heels is Pat and Shawn at 21-14, just behind me. And then Caden and Mike are sitting at 18-17. Again, every one of us is above 500. And I defy anybody who's doing this week in, week out to have better records than what we're doing as a group. Honestly.
No, it's not easy.
No, I was looking at the who you got, and I'm sitting comfortably in sixth at the moment, but I'm about 30 points out of first. So I need to get all my top tier picks in there and get that going. But we'll get there. I think we'll get there. One good week.
Well,
hey Brian, welcome.
Right.
Welcome.
Hey, so one thing I do want to point out, if you can call it a positive, I think we talked about this the last time the Wings were out, how they had, next to no production out of their defense in transition. Just to go through their defense in transition this game: Dustin Burkhoff a goal, Mitchell Armstrong a goal, Patrick Foley an assist, Liam Patton had 2 assists, Chris Corbeil had 2 assists, Messenger had an assist. So you got some production out of your back end this time around. Granted, it doesn't change the outcome. There's still the problem of, they weren't able to contain Connor Fields and others on that Rochester offense. But, if they can get continued production like that out of their back end, again, I think if they can find a way to not only get production out of those guys, but keep games lower scoring, tighter, like a Colorado does, those are the kinds of games that they can win. And they can steal wins that most people think they shouldn't.
No, I'm with you, Mike. The problem I see, though, is like, here we are. Here's Philly. They're second from the bottom already. I mean, is this season out of sorts? No, but at some point, you still got to start handling what's in front of you. Again, you could probably, to me, have what's coming on the schedule, and this is still not going to be an easy road because the Desert Dogs have elevated and become a better team, adding a few pieces. It's not going to be a cakewalk, but I mean, if there's any way to start turning this ship around, it's got to be starting this weekend against Desert Dogs. Yes, we all know Mitch Jones is licking his chops to get back at his old team, but Philly can start. They got to start finding to. Brandon O'Neill is starting to step up. Mike Sowers put up a great first half of Lacrosse, but then what can you really put your hat on? Eric, the secondary scoring, Eric Fennell is starting to score a little bit. You could rely on Phil Caputo to get a goal or two. But we just need Blaze Reardon. I think you need Blaze Reardon to kind of get a little bit more on the scoreboard. He's been, somewhat quiet. So, and I know he's not playing like he used to, and I know we've been saying it for like 2 years, but I mean, he needs to start causing havoc like he once did, or trying to get creative some way from the outside, and he doesn't even look like a scoring option anymore.
And the fortunate thing is timing too. Coming into Las Vegas for next week is, again, you're playing another pissed off team that really got it handed to them when they really shouldn't have. And it's just timing again. You're in the crosshairs of a team that's very good that just had a bad week the week previous.
And then after that, I think they have
Jordan. They got Seattle,
I think they
San
have
Diego.
A home and home with San Diego, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they got.
Well, we'll get to San Diego in a minute.
Week 9, they host the Seals, and then week 10, they're in San Diego.
Yep.
So I'm not all that impressed with what I saw with San Diego. So that might be exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I mean, really, this is the weekend to try to turn things around, because if you can handle, like Shawn said, it's not going to be easy because they're coming off a tough loss, but if you can handle the Desert Dogs, and we know, unfortunately, Gary, listen, the Philadelphia Wings just called a Stone Cold Stunner. Well, guess who's next on the Rochester's radar? So the Rock.
They had the San Diego train and got on track. So let's see what happens. Like I say, it was just what the doctor ordered, because for all the years that San Diego has been a force, they tried to get away from being the oldest team in the league. Now they have to be in the rebuilding team of the league, because I honestly would say that if Westberg gets hurt for the Seals, they have no offense at all. Because if he's not scoring, he's the catalyst towards it. And really, they move as he moves. And that's been really it for a number of years. And really, I didn't see much else in a form of anything that was a threat watching that game. And like I say, that might be the ticket that helps Philadelphia ail a few things and try a few things. And if not, Paul Day knows an awful lot of the guys in the ALL who are chomping at the bit. Honestly, we talked about him a few times today already, but wouldn't Aaron Woods look good in a Philadelphia Wings uniform?
Hey, listen, right now, my brother look good right now in the Wings uniform. He can't play lacrosse.
I would also say, and I know I say it all the time, but a Tate and a Holden Catonio both have had time there. Making returns there shouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities.
No, and
I think Tate would be more of a factor because he can get inside and really do a lot of the digging and be really creative, which might help free up a Brendan O'Neill or free up a Michael Sowers, or even maybe reignite a Blaze Reardon with a catalyst like that.
That's what he needs, because I felt like Blaze played his best lacrosse when he was partners in crime with Holden. But I mean, like, to me, like, you're right. But if Philly can start getting things going this weekend, and then the way San Diego's kind of flopped, you get pick up 2 victories from San Diego. Now, like I said, this has become a wish list. But if you could start doing that, sounds like a tall order. Take care of San Diego, take care of Vegas, and twice with San Diego. There you are, with 3 wins, and there you are, somewhat and then you got eyes on the playoffs. Now, like I said, I know it sounds like a tall order, especially with the way this team's developed. But who knows? But like you said, I can't see Paul Day sitting on his hands for long, and not want to start recruiting for help.
Mm-hmm. I'm also thinking this though. And see if you agree with me on this one. I might just be throwing this at the wall, seeing if it sticks. But I don't think that Blaze Reardon really knows what his role is anymore there.
That's a good point.
The team that they had before, it was pretty defined. And he was going to be the in-close guy. He was going to be the bull in the china shop. He was going to dive across the crease and create havoc. And if nothing else, set some major picks. Right now, with things moving in and out, and with a whole new cast of characters, a lot of field guys in there as well who are used to being blueprinted and not play by feel. I'm wondering if he's having trouble trying to see exactly where he fits in this offense, and if maybe taking a page out of the field lacrosse thing, maybe just to draw up a few things that he needs to do on top of anything else. Might help him back regimented.
It's actually really good, Gary, because it really, like, when you look at it, like, where does he fit in with this offense? Because it seems like their offense runs through Michael Sowers, Brandon O'Neill, and Joe Russett-Terrence. And to me, he's not even being that, look, I used to call him the bulldozer. He hasn't been that wrecking force to be, that causes havoc down low. Like, and he's not scoring like he does. I mean, do you start looking at other teams that he can fit for? If you're Paul Day, you start talking to other GMs and saying, hey, he might be a better fit for you?
I mean, short answer, yes. Long problematic answer. This is Lyle Thompson without the production.
Yeah.
True. And I mean, I hate to beat the dead horse here because we've talked about it for 2 weeks straight now. But the Lyle Thompson thing, at least you're getting some production out of him. Like, this is, if you're Paul Day and you're shopping around Blaze Reardon now, you can't expect anywhere near the same kind of return.
No,
for him,
kind of like what they expected.
And I'm not bringing that up, as though Philly needs to win this trip. We all know there are trades that do get won by one team over another sometimes, but in
Right.
most cases, I'd say 75% to 85% of any trade in the NLL is deliberately designed to be a win-win situation.
I want to get to one of Brian's comments here just a sec. Sorry, Sean. And that is that Joe Restaurants is becoming Mr. Assist. And I think that's a problem too, because his whole game for all these years is he's been the finisher. If he's sitting there being the quarterback, doing Mitch Jones' old job, you got a problem because there's a real good quality stick that isn't being used or misused.
Yeah.
Is it more him? I mean, because he really only shoots from like the I mean, I know he likes to shoot from distance. I know he likes to shoot from the face-off circle. Is it him? Like the defense just know where he's at all times, or just like he might have to come out of his comfort zone?
They
and
know
try
in the summer too, but he still scores 50 goals for Peterborough, right?
True.
Yeah. No, I would agree with Pat though, because that can start to get a little predictable after a while. I mean, when he was with Rochester, 1.0, you used to see, dunks from behind the net, more crease dives out of him. Now it's kind of him camping, it's almost Alex Ovechkin or Brett Hull like. Camp out, wait for your ball, hope you sting the corner.
And bury it. Yeah, and then bury it.
And he's not the only one. I would point out this appears to be happening with Corey Small in San Diego. Camp out, get the ball, hope you sting the corner. And
well, that was one of the problems with him in Toronto, right?
Maybe to some extent, Holden Cattoni. And that's why he's not on a team right now. And that's not to say that Holden Cattoni can't do more than that. All these guys can do more than that. But they got to get out of their comfort zones.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. You hit the nail right on the head with all of them.
I was just going to say, fine, if Russ Terrace is going to be Mr. Assist, then let's go back to the Blaze Reardon thing again. If he's going to be Mr. Assist, you need another stick who's going to put it in the back of the net, but you don't have that right now.
And if you have Blaze camping out, then you have one guy who's stationary on one side and one guy who's stationary on the other side, and that's pretty easy to defend.
Yeah.
Now you guys would know more than me, but would you kick the tires on putting Blaze Reardon on the defense side of the ball instead of offense? Just try and play him as a defender? And
I don't think he has the speed to do that, to tell you the truth.
No, I don't think so.
True. I didn't think about
that. And Paul, Paul Day and Ian Rubel on the coaching staff, let's not play semantics here. They did a pretty major overhaul, and part of that overhaul was making that defense a lot faster.
Yeah,
true.
Letting bigger.
And in this league, you need an athletic defense.
Okay, Desnu kind of chose to walk. Desnu's a special situation because of his job and his living situation, but he walked. Tutton siding with Rochester, and they've been replaced with draft picks and other signings that are speedier. Mitch Armstrong. Remember, let's remember, Mitch Armstrong, I think, is 20 years old, and he already has a couple of years of service time under his old. He started playing, and he still had time in juniors, to kill. So, there are guys, and, Evan Messenger's another one. Lots of speed. They already had Alex Pace. They already had, Ryan Wagner's had, a pretty major knee injury, and he's still one of the fastest players in the league. And let's not forget Scott Dominy, too. Is he still on PUP? Or is he finally?
No, he's still on PUP. Eventually, when he gets there, he's going to be the
worse.
anchor to your transition and defensive role. And
Oh yeah.
you know, unless he's lost a lot of speed, he's still going to be one of the quickest guys in the league. So there is some plan.
They've got guys with speed, pace, and
Liam Patton's another one that comes to mind.
Yeah.
But like again, because like just listen, everyone. Like, so if we can't put Blaze in another role, and he's like I said, a little bit of an older guy. Like I said, like I know we're not going to get a whole back for him, but I mean, right now, what this team is like, if you could get him for, I don't know, you just send him out to San Diego, see if he could be a spark out there, just and maybe they just need that locker room presence of a leader. Well, listen, just give me, I'm not asking for a whole, but give me some forwards, some guys who are ready, give me some, guys who are on their way up who looking, give me some prospects who look like they're start cooking, because I can use a prospect now. You need any kind of fast pace forward right now, and like I said, I would tread that off for, hey, listen, he's a great locker room presence. He'll bring all that for you. If you need a locker room leader, that's what Blaze brings. He can score a little, and maybe just needs a new scenery, because right now, the way it looks like in Philly, it's just not cutting.
Actually, that's exactly the point I was going to make about Blaze. Is for his sake, maybe that's all he needs is just to change the scenery, in a team that has a defined role for him, and because that seems to where he thrives. And if you can get him off to that, maybe you get a little bit more value out of him. I don't think you're going to hit a home run by any means. Again, we go back to the whole Al Thompson situation. I don't think you're going to get a home run for Blaze Reardon, but maybe you get a little bit more value if he's going to a team that has a role for him, and that change of scenery maybe is just what he needs.
Right.
How about Halifax?
I would appease it.
How about Halifax?
Yeah.
Offer Blaze and a pick for an Austin Bloomberg's or Christian Watts.
Both promising players.
Yeah.
Both very promising players. But right now they don't have much of a spot. But, Micah Kersey is starting to, if you notice, he's starting to put them in. Christian Watts was in yesterday's game. Will McLeod had a huge game. In fact, he's the reason why they won against Ottawa. So, yeah, slowly but surely they're starting to see time. But I think, as we saw in this weekend, is we're starting to see cracks in the Halifax armor as well that I didn't think were there when the season started. But we'll get to that in a minute or two. As for the Wings, though, you can kick tires. You don't have to really get serious for another month and a half. But I would be very curious if that defense can shut down the high-flying offense of Vegas this week. If you can take that out of the equation, I think the Philadelphia offense is good enough to score on the Vegas defense. So this could be a whole other realm.
Yeah.
I think the only team that the only way the Wings lose this game really is if they hurt themselves. If, like you said, they just got to bring their smash mouth physicality defense. If they could do that, I mean, you have a lot going for you. I mean, like I get it. They got John Donville. They got Mitch Jones. They got a lot of guys who can score. But if you could put together some physicality defense, switch Joe Resetier's going from Mr. Assist guy to Mr. Finish guy, and get everybody involved. Maybe take a page out of the Rochester playbook. Starting not just having three guys you can rely on the goal. Maybe you start getting the messengers and all those other young cats. The same players
also
get
the
them on score.
Their transition game needs to wake up. If they're going to beat Vegas, guys like Liam Patton, a few of the others need to be on their game, because even if they're not scoring, they are going to get the Vegas bench moving, which creates a whole lot of early movement, which gets penalties, and their power play is still strong. So It's enough to get things a little disheveled on the bench, which is enough to put doubt, and then also puts the doubt in Landon Kells where he can't set up, and that's usually when he gets into trouble, is if he's not set for the shot. If he's set, he'll stop 95% of it.
True.
So that was the Walk got in is they were taking penalties. Vegas wasn't taking penalties, and they went to town. Vegas Kells was able to set up on almost every shot, especially the outside shooting that came, and that took care of a whole lot of their offense. If they can get him moving around and disheveled, as well as the rest of the defense who are trying to jump over one another to get on the floor, it's amazing how much that transition game, especially with the speed that they have, can really upset the apple cart there, so to speak. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's patience is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
You can't expect that they're going to go from where they were last year to raising a cup this year. But if they can incrementally change things around and change the culture around, and if Paul Day is able and allowed to do what he needs to do to get these draft picks that he's got and get the quality players that he needs and he knows he has in the pipe, then just down the road a couple of years, if everybody's patient enough, then this could be a very formidable thing. Rochester didn't happen overnight. Rochester happened bits and pieces over about 4 years. And 2 of those years were kind of, oh my God. And then all of a sudden it clicked in last year, and about midway through the year, and everybody bought in, believed, and things really worked well as injuries coming back and people being healthy. And you take a look at this year, and I would say that right now they're my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Man, good to see you last night, Ryan. Good to have you with us.
And let's not forget, Philly does have 2 first-rounders in 26. They have their own, and they have the conditional from Buffalo in the trade for Mitch to Snoop.
And this is going to be the draft.
Yeah.
Pat and Eduardo have something to do right now. They have tee-off times tomorrow afternoon. I believe 3 o'clock. They're going to meet halfway between it, somewhere in South Carolina.
Man, I don't know what to say anymore. I don't know what to say. I don't know what direction to follow. I can't follow bounce the ball anymore. It's a shame.
Sorry, my Patriots are playing at the moment, so they are where they are. I'm glad you're wearing green Gale green there, Pat, because it couldn't possibly be Eagle green you're wearing.
No, it comes with a bag. It's terrible. It's terrible. This weekend's been
one actually stands for the one more play they needed when they were sitting on the 20.
Oh my gosh, terrible! Just throwing the ball in the wrong place is absolutely nuts. Like I said,
could be a Philly thing now.
I feel like Loserville.
Putting the ball in the wrong spot at the wrong time with the wrong person.
Oh my gosh, terrible! So you can't. That's going to be my blood pressure's up. My blood pressure was up all morning on the pod. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Friday Wings lose, Saturday night Flyers lose. I got to see what happens tonight with the Sixers. Hopefully, they're up in your neck of the woods for tonight and tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, other than that, I feel like beating myself with a baseball bat at this point.
I'm in Toronto, man. We missed the World Series by this much. We have a team that really couldn't find the upside. I think they could have found the 50-yard line with an OnStar system. I know they couldn't find the end zone with an OnStar system. We have a hockey team that, they beat another team that was useless in Vancouver last night.
Oh, yeah.
They could be far between. The lacrosse team is trying to find it, but hasn't won anything since 2011.
Oh, man.
Feel your pain, man. Feel your pain.
I was going to say, maybe I shouldn't comment about the Saskatchewan pro teams right now.
Just enjoy life.
Well, just to
First
keep it
place in the
bare
NLL.
minimum, you don't have that many to remember, Shawn.
Yeah, it's true.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, it's gonna be interesting though. Getting back, to see what happens here between Philly and Vegas. I expect all hogs to be, worn out between them and Mitch Jones, and after that, bell rings. Let's go. Let's get the business.
Absolutely. Pat, I will let you get on with your evening. I want to thank you again for taking the time and breaking it down for us. Right sides are coming. And have a look at that. See, I want you to keep a specific eye on if Reardon actually doesn't know what his role is right now. Because I don't think I know what his role is right now.
Yeah, listen, this is a great conversation, and if Mr. Day's listening to the program, he may be going, that's not bad, that's not a bad, idea. Let's see if I can move him, if so forth. But yeah, we don't know what his role is. I really don't. I mean, like I said, I felt like there was a pair with him and Holden Catoling, but now I don't know what we're going to do here.
Yeah, well, we go with the Flyer,
Brian.
Flyer 75 also.
Oh, Brian, and listen, I've done enough research on my heyday about the Wings in those early 2000s, late 90s. Yeah, they were a monster lacrosse team. It's been some time, but
the Wings team wasn't supposed to win, but they decided to put a wrench into the parade that was already planned in Toronto. Which, by the way, if Toronto would have won that one, that would have been part of the 5-peat because they won 2 on either side, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
that's when Mike Lauer was doing. He was watching lacrosse. Now he can't even spell lacrosse. He can't even spell his own name. Well, that's a whole nother story. But guys, listen, enjoy your night. I'll catch you guys later.
Absolutely, Pat. Take care. Thank you very much. That was Pat Bernard with the Wings Nest, seen weekly here. All right, guys, let's get back to some of these other fantastic games. I want to jump into the Ottawa Halifax game, and as mentioned before, the least likely of heroes in this game, and that was Will McLeod with 4 goals in his first NLL game. Now, I know Will from Brooklyn, and he only needed the opportunity, and sure enough, he was given it 6 points on the night, too, and such a modest kid. But Halifax started out strong in this game. And, they had 2 quickers, Colton Armstrong and Cody Jamieson with a pair of goals there. And Connor Kiernan got one back, but Clark Peterson, with, again, one of those typical Clark Peterson types of goals. But I found that Halifax, their ball movement was pretty good off the start. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you'll see later in the game, Ottawa's issue of allowing big runs pretty much reared its ugly head again. Halifax didn't quite get to 6 in a row, but 5 in a row kind of really turned the game on its head after
which is interesting.
After Ottawa had 5 in the second quarter.
I don't think Halifax ever came out for the second quarter because they looked lost. They were running around in circles. They really weren't doing what a normal Halifax Thunderbirds game plan. And it was just wild to watch because the offense, you left Rob Hellier to do just about anything he wanted to do. And he took full advantage. And even if he wasn't facilitating or scoring, he was creating enough havoc outside of it that Riley O'Connor, Jeff Teat, Nicholas Volkov could actually get in there and do different things away from the play and get into there and really, make Warren Hill work quite a bit. And 5 goals in the second, and all of a sudden it's 6-3 Ottawa at the half. And we're wondering, is this the same Halifax team that we saw at the beginning of the year? Or is this the Halifax team that just spent 2 weeks looking upward at Saskatchewan? And then, of course, came the third quarter. And again, I'm still scratching my head. When Mongo Thompson scores, I have to start thinking, the defense from the other side isn't paying attention. But again, with Jake Withers with a broken finger, when he goes to town, and what was it, 26-2 in faceoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's with a broken finger. But that was your transition game. And that all of a sudden sparked some of the other things that went on, because enter, Clark Peterson, Cody Jamieson on the power play, and then Will McLeod. And none of them were cheapies. McLeod's goals were just absolutely gorgeous goals. So, when you take a look at, my first game in the NLL or my first goals in the NLL, it's like, yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. We had a Dunbar sighting, man, a Jacob Dunbar sighting again. They happen few and far between, but we saw it. And it tightened that game up to 8-7 heading into the fourth, and this was anybody's game. And it really, Halifax looked like they had it in hand. Then they would take a little bit of time off, and Ottawa would come right back. Then they would ramp it up again. Ottawa would come back. And then finally, near the end, it seemed, the Tyson Bell empty net goal seemed to be the dagger. But even then, Connor Kiernan got one with 13 seconds left, made it, a little closer. But I really do think that this was a typical Halifax kind of game. Granted, the second, if you took the second quarter out, because they're not known for giving up big runs until we take a look at last night's game, which was an entire big run.
Yeah.
Yep.
It just was that was a snowball that went down a very steep hill, because, wow, when it went bad, it went really bad.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, they did a pretty good job at keeping Jeff Teat in check. Just 2 goals and 2 assists on the night. Dunbar did get 2 goals. Riley O'Connor actually led the scoring with 2 goals and 6 assists, including his 500th point, on which Hellier assisted for his 900th point career. So.
Yep. Yeah, but I guess one point I see too in the statistics here is Ottawa was 2 for 8 on the power play, especially when you got the firepower of Jeff Teat. I think that number's got to be way, way higher. If you've got man advantage, especially a team against Halifax again that we know is going to take a lot of penalties, you got to take advantage of that. And they just didn't.
And it's strange, because Halifax, they know they have to be more disciplined. In fact, Kersey said, if they're not going to play discipline, I don't care if you're my number 1 scorer, you're going to be taking minutes on the bench. Well, here you go. Rolling again.
As I say, hence why you're probably going to see more guys like Will McLeod playing. For that exact reason. Guys are going to be disciplined. There's young guys, there's young up-and-comers just chomping at the bit.
Yeah. Like I say, you may not be so eager to trade in Austin Bloomberg because you're probably going to see him in the lineup.
Yeah.
In fact, I would hope to, because I think he's damn good player, and I think he can actually cut it up in NLL. But only one way to find out, right?
Right.
Yep.
But there are a number of ones that have been there and gone through there, and I don't know. I look at the lineup, and I still they won. But I still think they need more from, Randy Stotts, Dawson Theed. They need more from these guys if they're going to be a contender. Day in, day out. You can't expect Cody Jamieson to sit there and, get 3 of those goals week in and week out. Will McLeod's not going to have 4 goals every game. You take the McLeod goals out, and what happens? It's another L in the Halifax.
Yeah, premature production is Clark Peterson and Cody Jamieson.
Yeah. Where's Mike Robinson been? I know he didn't play in this game, but a few other games before, he hasn't done much this year. He was a pretty big staple in years past, and he had a good summer in Peterborough.
I would even see a Dawson Theed. We know he can score.
I would say, actually, though, the worst of it is Brendan Bomberry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he finally got his first goal as a Halifax Thunderbird in this game. We're in week 7, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a big to-do trade, right?
Oh yeah.
Or
Oh
signing
yeah,
to get him.
that was supposed to be.
Yeah. That was the signing. Oh my God, what's Georgia going to do? Wow. 1 goal in 7 weeks is not. It's not what the doctor ordered. But on the flip side, you take a look at Ottawa, and it's interesting because again, whether you got Connor Kiernan doing his thing, you got Jeff Teat doing his thing. Riley O'Connor's come around now also and is healthy. You have Larson Sundown that has been part of this group. Jacob Dunbar, he had a couple of goals in this game, and if he's gotten himself back in the mix, that's going to be another weapon. Callum Jones got on the board. If your transition is working, another big push there, because Kevin Brunell has been doing it alone really for the last number of weeks. Again, Nicholas Volkov had a goal in there as well. So if you're getting it from all over the place, then it's going to be hard just to key on Jeff Teat or key on Connor Kiernan. And then they become more dangerous. It was interesting to see Tyler Carlson come in to give Zach Higgins a break in that 5-goal run. But it seemed to work. Higgins was able to get his head together. It was a wake-up call for the team, and they played a pretty strong rest of the game down the stretch. But if you're resting your laurels and trying to win, and Carlson's your goalie, well, Shawn, you had him in Saskatchewan.
Yeah. He was good at counting a 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had him in Brampton.
He's good for counting to 5, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, that was during the just after they lost their sponsorship, so they were selling players off to make ends meet. So he was starting goalie, and I saw some really interesting plays. I mean, things that I laugh at now. 8 years later, I'm still laughing at some of the things I saw. But he's a hell of a bench guy, and a hell of a dressing room, and really good for team. But he's
like
not
Morale guy, I had no doubt. Morale guy, no doubt. He's really good, but
yeah, because he was part of Colorado's success too. But he's not a starting goalie by any stretch of the imagination. I was actually surprised to see him be back because I thought he was already retired. But anyways, Halifax gets back in a win column in this game. And kind of odd because it looked like Ottawa was starting to get some momentum. Well, that brings us to a couple of interesting games. One, it was Dane Dobbing night. He is 1 of 3 in the rafters now, as forever a roughneck, and well deserved. I got to admit, it was a really nice ceremony.
Oh yeah.
But somebody want to explain to me what in the heck is up with the Vancouver offense? All this firepower, and my God, this is won in overtime in a game where I think they really, stole it. Because if Calgary had even 30 seconds more in the fourth, I don't think we go to overtime.
Well, I mean, we'll get into it probably next week, but I think Calgary is one of those underrated teams that will really sneak up on you if you sleep on them. I think, Sanderson's done a great job of working with what he's got. That being said,
well,
it's a head scratcher.
I love Brandon Maya. I think he's he's a fire spark plug. He's just there, and he's not the biggest guy on the floor. He might be the scrappiest, and he is always in the middle of it. And it doesn't matter if you pound him into the ground; he get right back up, dust himself off, and keeps going and digging. He's not afraid to get in the middle. He's not afraid to dig loose balls. He's not afraid to set up other guys, and he's got hands, so he can score as well. And I think he's that kind of that diamond in the rough we were talking about before the season started that Calgary might need if this is going to work. And you throw him in the mix with a Tanner Cook, with a Hayden Dixon, and all of a sudden you have magic happening. And Tyler Pace on top of that.
But back to your question about what's going on with Vancouver's offense, like, I think that's the $1 million question.
Because you can't really keep on a Curtis Dixon. He's getting his points. Claridge, he's getting his points. But I don't know. I just think that they can be doing a lot more.
Like a guy like Shawn Beatty shouldn't have a goal and assist. Do you think he should be putting up 5-6 points?
Yeah, I mean, they should be Rochester West.
They should.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they're settling on bad shot selections or too early into the shot clock and just resting on their laurels and how good they really are. But it's not how good it is on paper. It's how good you can be. And
is it a scenario? Sorry, Gary. Is it a scenario like we've seen in other teams when they have so much star power? Too many cooks in the kitchen. There's only one ball.
And
but everyone wants to be a goal scorer.
Because really the one who again, Keegan Ball has been taking the brunt of it for the last couple of years while the rebuild has happened. And it looks like he is now the facilitator to everybody else. He had a goal and 6 assists in this game. I think that Peyton Cormier needs to have a little more time on the floor. Just for some fresh thought and fresh ideas.
Yeah.
He's getting a couple of shifts in there, dip his toe in there, but I think he needs to get regular shifts with this group to get accustomed to what they're doing. Did Max Adler make a difference in this game at all?
Just looking at the stats, I would say no, because Calgary was 14-24. So they outdid him.
Does this surprise anybody since he hasn't played in the NLL in about 4 years?
Not really, but I think you need to. I would celebrate it as a small bit of victory because
you have a face-off.
They've been terrible just all year since Stathakis went down.
Right.
So,
and the other thing was you gave up nothing. Would you give up a 6th-round pick?
Yeah.
So you really didn't give up anything. So, but
I guess my answer is kind of yes and no, right? Because he's been out of the NLL, but they also kind of hyped him up as this was going to be the solution to all our problems.
Well, before we sit there and go, oh my God, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Remember that in this crazy NLL schedule, Vancouver had the last 2 weeks off as bye weeks. Now, in the middle of all this, to have 1 bye week is a little disruptive. To have 2 bye weeks and know you haven't really played in almost a month is nuts, especially this early in the season. I think the Buffalo last year, and they had that week on, week off, week on, week off, week on, week off, 12 games in 10 weeks. So down the stretch, they're not a young team overall. Do you think that this could be a problem or could be something good? Because they are all pros and they do know how to keep themselves, healthy.
Ultimately, I think it's going to be good. The fact that they were able to get out of Calgary with a win, despite blowing a 5-goal second half lead.
Yeah.
It's their only meeting with Calgary, so they don't have to go back. Next week, they get back home against a San Diego team that's clearly out of sorts right now. So,
I see this with Calgary though, eh? Every week, Buffalo they put together a run, didn't quite make it. Here against Vancouver they put together a run, again just fell a little bit short. Eventually, they will be able to get the runs that'll make it the whole way through.
Yeah.
Using timeouts early, yeah, that's a good point too,
Yeah.
because you're going to need that down the stretch as well. But something to stop the bleeding in the fourth quarter, they needed something. Because wow, when you look at and again, the guys who were supposed to be scoring for Calgary, Tyler Pace and Tanner Cook, they were there when it counted in the fourth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like I said, again, we can get into it next week, but that's why I really feel this Calgary team's underrated. Like you said, yeah, they've only got one win. They're 1-4, but you look at those losses, they're not getting blown out of the water. They're, one or two pieces away from winning those games.
Yeah. I worry a little bit about Vancouver's defense, though, because Del Bianco, he had a great game. He made 42 saves, only gave up 10.
That's why I'm wondering they're getting a little long in the tooth because, again, and we kind of discussed it with Philly too. We're seeing a lot more, quicker, faster, more athletic defenses in this league. When your guys got like Brett Mitski, Matt Beers, Jeff Cornwall, those guys are getting older and older and older and maybe getting a little step behind everyone else.
Right. So I don't know if that's where they need to be looking, or do we just leave it status quo and we'll just see where it falls? Because again, it was a win, right? They were able to get on the win side. They have San Diego this week, so I don't think I don't like San Diego's schedule. They have the games where you might have gotten a victory that they didn't take. Now I don't like their chances here because you can't even use the West Coast thing because they're both West Coast teams. And it's in Vancouver.
Yeah.
So Rogers Arena is going to be rocking. But I think it's a team that we need to keep an eye on. And if the defense is the issue, or if it's just, whatever, it was a week. I put a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, because, having a couple of weeks off. And I know when I listened to Malowski talk about the practice they had the day before, really they ran through a few things, got the heart rates up, but really didn't do too much because you had a game. So this was a totally left to the players to keep themselves active and in sync. So, of course, after a few weeks, even if you are the most fine-tuned machine, to get everybody on the same page and in sync may take a game or two. So let's see what happens this week in San Diego before we start going, oh, my God, the sky's falling.
Yeah, I mean, if they need to go younger, I mean, typically the two guys they're scratching are Ethan Ticehurst and Ramos Sonato.
Yeah.
Both those guys are pretty young, so.
And Ticehurst's got speed, man. Like he can.
Yeah, so, if it's something where you feel like like Beers or Cornwall needs a rest,
Right.
Maybe Malowski needs.
I think they need to use
a healthy scratching.
Well, they need to use their practice squad tonight,
and going with those guys.
Yeah.
And it's not. I mean, there's so much talent there. I mean, I wouldn't see an issue with rotating those guys out. Having a longer sort of rotation of scratches. Okay, Beers is going to sit this week. Cornwall's going to sit next week. Dilks is going to sit the week after that.
Right. All right. Let's move forward because we got a lot to cover still. Shawn, 3 touchdowns for
yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize
man.
I thought after the Grey Cup they were going to take a couple of months off.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh man, 36 points between the two teams, highest scoring game so far this season. And man, Ryan Keenan, 12 points, highest of his career, 6 goals, 6 assists. I mean, man, he's coming to his own now. 10 goals and 8 assists in 2 games now for Ryan.
Yep.
He is really showing what he can do now, and you really can't hone in on one guy on this Saskatchewan offense now. And really what I saw out of this Las Vegas Desert Dogs is their defense was, I'll say it, their defense was soft. Guys could just run up the middle with take no punishment whatsoever. And just Russians could have their way with it, which kind of left Kells out to dry.
About, right?
Yeah. And I mean, after 12 goals, we saw Keld Khan come in. And I mean, we've seen what he does with WLA, but it's very clear now he still needs to develop. He's 18. I mean, he's got a long, long ways ahead of himself still. So I don't really want to, kick the kid while he's down. I mean, he'll get there, but yeah, that's just the biggest thing I saw. A little bit of concern. I mean, Frank Chiliano got beat low quite a few times. Shots to his feet at 5-hole. That seemed to get by him quite a bit that night. But I think the biggest thing that I'm concerned about for Las Vegas is that defense. They looked very, very soft.
Right. Well, you look at it and, it covers up the 15 goals is a lot. When you score 21, it's forgiving. But if it's a regular tight game and you're being beaten 5-hole and low to the feet, well, what's the best place to shoot on a goalie? Glove side foot, right?
Yeah.
You can't get down there enough and enough accuracy there, and away you go. The reflex guys are the ones who are able to get to that one. Chiliano is not that guy. But
no.
Overall, Kostiuk's that guy. But that's for another day. I like, again, what Saskatchewan has shown me all year is that this offense can roll with anybody. And you look at Zach Mance and what a game he had. You take a look at Austin Shanks. You take a look at Robert Church, and again, he had another big night.
Brock Haley had 2 goals, 4 assists. I mean, and he had one that's off the post right into the pocket of his stick. Like, he's just in the right place at the right time. And I gotta say, Matt Accioni, I know he had 1 assist, but man, that kid's got wheels. I mean, if he gets loose on you, goodbye, he's gone, which was awesome to see.
Now, with everything going here, you got Levi Anderson sitting there waiting. What do you do with him?
And that's funny because, he started the season, right? And actually it was Clark Walter that was sitting. And now you've got Walter in the lineup, put up 4 assists as well. I mean, he didn't look too bad. I mean, that's what Clark Walter does, it seems, is, you take him out of the lineup, you put him back in, and he just gives you a reason not to take him out. Just what he does.
It's a good problem to have, though, isn't it? It's a good problem to have. Not so much for the player, but for the team itself. And especially going down the stretch. And they're a younger team. So I don't worry about them down the stretch if they have a heavy workload, because they're a much more resilient bunch. And, again, when you take a look at the guys who are sitting right now, they are guys who are regularly in and out of the lineup. So it's not like you got somebody you got to teach everything to. Because some teams with their practice squads, the only time they see anything of the team is on Tuesdays. Or whenever your practice happens to be.
Yeah. That's the thing, too, is just kind of going back to, Clark Walter versus Levi Anderson. You got 2 different players, too, right? You have Levi Anderson, like a big body who can, set picks, kind of bully his way to the net. And you got another guy like Clark Walter, a smaller guy with more speed, maybe a little bit more of a finesse game.
Right. Now, again, my concern is, if there is any concern, is the defense. Because 15 is a lot to give up still. And I'm sure that Derek Caden isn't happy about that, though happy about 21 goals and a victory.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a concern. Like I said, I was more concerned with kind of the shots that were going in more than defense itself. Because, I mean, that defense has shown that they can lock down. And, I mean, we were talking about a very, very good Desert Dogs offense. I take nothing away from that. I think that's probably the strong point of the Desert Dogs is their offense.
Right.
But
Well,
if
they
they're putting
did-
16, 15, if they're putting 15, but their defense can't hold their team to more any less than that, that's a concern.
That's frightening. But, you know, the guys are supposed to score again. You know, Chase Fraser with a pair, Mitch Jones with 3, Chris Kluche with another 3. So these guys are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. But, again, I worry about that, like we talked about with Pat. The defense is a problem. And the only reason I think they look good against Toronto was because Toronto settled for all outside shooting in that game. Very seldom did they go inside. In fact, when they did go inside, they scored. But
This is Saskatchewan showed you can easily get inside on that defense because they're not going to challenge you.
right, which is something that they need to work on if they want to be to the next level, where they spent all this time getting all this firepower. But if you have to score 18 goals to win a game, there's a problem. Or in this case, 22 goals to win a game.
Yeah.
But
I guess that's just a wait and see, right? Like I said, that it is a high-powered offense that we know from Vegas. Also, a high-powered offense with Saskatchewan too. So, I don't think I would push the panic button just yet on that Saskatchewan defense, but we'll wait and see.
yeah, definitely. All right, let's move on over to San Diego, and Toronto was in there. And, well, this San Diego team, we started talking about it, and I don't see a whole lot of anything in this thing. I don't see a whole lot of offensive cohesion. I didn't see much of that. I saw Westberg, and really, I saw a couple of pieces that came along with Westberg. Zach Currier had a decent game, but again, San Diego was apt to take penalties because, again, I don't think that they are as fast as some of the other teams. And if you see that a guy like CJ Kirst is on a roll, wouldn't you do anything you could to try and slow him down?
No,
But you let him run wild. 5 goals for CJ Kirst. He's getting stronger with every single game. But they also had what was known as the killers. You either had a pair of goals really quickly or you had goals really late. The first quarter actually was a pretty evenly played quarter. And in fact, it was 2-2 heading, and it looked like it was heading towards the end of the quarter when Zach Currier scored with just 43 seconds left, and San Diego was up 3-2 after 1. They made it 4-2 with Westberg scoring about 5 minutes in, and then all of a sudden the CJ Kirst show began. With 4 minutes to go in the half, and Toronto starts going at it. You have CJ Kirst scoring in transition off a Brad Curry pass. Another beauty. Just a beauty. Chris Boucher with a blast off a Mark Matthews pass. And then with just 10 seconds left in the half, CJ Kirst scores again, this time on a quick stick off a Dan Craig pass. And Toronto is up by 4 at the half. Again, very attainable, low-scoring half. But the things that are killers is those last-minute goals. Or giving it up in the first minute or two, right? Josh Tolwick makes it a 6-4 game. A minute and a half, closer to 2 minutes into the third quarter. San Diego gets a pair of goals from Trey Leclerc, and we're tied. And then it seems like San Diego just stopped. The killer. Inside the last minute of that quarter, Sam English and Owen Hilt score 40 seconds apart inside the last minute. And all of a sudden, from a game that looked to be very, very tight, it's 8-6 Toronto. But again, it's not indicative of what the play I'm seeing. I've seen Toronto take an awful lot of shots, and Cam Dunkerley really did look like a starting goalie. He didn't look like a backup goalie in this game because he kept San Diego in this game for a good chunk of it. Now, of course, CJ Kirst was on a roll, so his 4th goal of the night came into the 4th, about 6 minutes in, and it was 9-6. Mark Matthews finishes off an Owen Hiltz pass, and it's 10-6. And pretty much that's it. Zach Currier gets one back off a Westberg feed, with about 3.5 minutes to go. But again, 2 goals inside 30 seconds near the end of the game from Kirst, his 5th of the game, and Challen Rogers, his 2nd of the game. And it's 12-7, and this is over. Nick Rose looked good in this game. After the game he had a couple of weeks ago where he came in relief of Troy Holochuk and didn't look good at all, Rose looked good here. He made 41 saves on the night, only gave up 7, and he was in position. He wasn't out of position at all in the game. Of course, CJ Kirst led all scorers with 5. Owen Hiltz had 4 assists on the night, which is big because he's finding his niche too. And once again, no one's pushing the rock around. Elijah Gash and Bill Hostrauser will see to that. But again, the this idea that you need a face-off guy to win games, Trevor Baptiste went 23-0 in this game. It just meant that Toronto's game plan was to make sure that once the face-off was won, that they're checking for the turnover. And it happened more times than not. So there's a way around it. The concerning thing, again, for San Diego is they went 2 for 7 on the power play. Because Toronto was apt to take a lot of penalties in this game. Toronto, another thing that's concerning for me is another game where their power play is, not past weak. It's useless. 0 for 2. You're not getting many opportunities, and the opportunities you're getting, you're not doing anything with. But a win's a win's a win, right? So, up next is Rochester. If they're going to be sitting in the penalty box, they're going to be losing, and quickly. That's simple. That's basic math. If you're going to give Rochester a chance on the power play, don't like your chances in this game. I already not crazy about the odds in this game upcoming. But, they're going to have to be playing the closest thing to a perfect game that they can and really show what this lineup can do. Challen Rogers out the front door, loving it. It brings a whole new dimension to that offense. They actually went inside a few times on Saturday, Friday night, sorry. But again, the outside shooting drives me insane. Especially when you see CJ Kirst being on the top of the crease and being successful. That it works. Dalwick's goal was a beauty, but again, an outside shot. It's the signature Josh Dalwick shot. Left side, far corner. On a bounce. But, if you're predictable, eventually you're going to get playing fun, right? What do you think, Mike?
Right. Well, we just talked about it with the likes of, Joris Territz, Corey Small.
Yeah.
All these guys who are getting a little too comfy, kind of camping in one spot. And
my curiosity to it is that if you take away the CJ Kirst big night, you had 1 goal from Josh Dalwick, 1 goal from Sam English, 1 goal from Chris Boucher, 2 from Challen Rogers, 1 from Mark Matthews, and 1 from Owen Hiltz. Wasn't Toronto known for transition? Where are they? There is no transition anymore. None. 0.
time. Yeah.
Not 1 game. It's a number of games. I don't think I've seen a good transition game from that team yet this year. Justin Martin was finally in his first game of the year. And I'm able to know he's there. So that's a good sign, I think. But don't know. Where are some of these other guys? Dan Craig, 3 assists. But again, it's the trap that happened last year. I need production from him. Because he'll go inside. He's no fair diving across the crease. And he's a big body. invisible when it comes to that. Everybody's too apt to, and the thing also, and maybe it's just me, that the Rock are notorious for overpassing. I'll watch 17 passes back, forth, up, down, and beautiful passes, zip, 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 and then one not so good one ends going the other way in transition. And then come back up and zip, 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 and then maybe get a shot from the outside. And it's like, what? Why? Overhandling is the same as underhandling in my eyes. It's set up the shot. I understand not being selfish, but at times be selfish. Score.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's where I see missing a guy like Corey Small, who's just going to fire. He pass it. He's not passing it back. He's firing somewhere at the net. Isn't it Gretzky who said you miss 100% of the shots you don't take? But again, a win's a win. San Diego seemed to be just what the doctor ordered for Toronto. For San Diego, I don't know who they got to play to be what they doctor ordered. Because honestly, I
don't know if they want to play at home right now. They're 0-3 at home.
Yeah. And they used to be unbeatable at home. I don't know. I just look at the, Connor Robinson was non-existent. He had 3 shots on goal, but really wasn't involved in anything. I would say Ari Steinhaus was more involved as a defender. Pat Cavanaugh, a couple of assists. Goldbrick, more taking penalties than anything else. Leclerc was their bright spot other than Westberg. And Zach Currier in transition. But honestly, where is this team? And you can't say that you don't have possessions because your faceoff guy went 23-0.
Yeah.
I think the big one's the Connor Robinson. I think that was supposed to be a big acquisition for them.
Supposed to be.
It was supposed to be, yeah, exactly. The key word, supposed to be. And
Jake Gubbin was always earmarked as being a real big thing, and I haven't seen it yet in a couple of years. Granted, this is the first time he's actually had a steady spot in the lineup, but I'm thinking that they're expecting big leaps and jumps. Other games, San Diego's killed themselves by taking a lot of stupid penalties. This game, you can't blame refs. You can't do any of that stuff because there was, they took 2 penalties all game. And Toronto didn't score on either of them. Here, the whole offense looked out of sync. They didn't look like they were on the same page for more than a few minutes of every quarter. And that's a problem. They even made note of that in the broadcast, where they were just out of sync, not seemingly where they needed to be or going to where they were going to go. I'm a little bit at a loss. I realize that they are trying to get younger and they are trying to rebuild and things like that, but there's more talent there than what I saw and what I've seen so far this year. And it's not going to get any easier. Right? You have Vancouver this week in Vancouver. And then you got a team like Philadelphia who is a wounded dog for the next 2. And I like Philadelphia's chances more than I like San Diego's chances in these at the moment. I think there's some real upside there where I'm kind of wondering about San Diego right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's keep rolling along here. I guess the next one is Buffalo and Rochester.
Yeah.
And, I got this one wrong. I thought with Rochester playing the night before and having to travel, and Buffalo just sitting waiting and taking a leisurely drive up the 90, into the 490 and just kind of getting themselves acclimated, and with probably half the arena, there's their fans. It always seems like it's a Buffalo home game. I thought that they would have a little bit more, but to Rochester's credit, I actually have Zed Williams. I didn't. I had listened to Zed Williams' little speech, and he's one of those guys that go, "No, I like back-to-back games. I seem to have by the second game, my footwork's working well and feeling good." And he had a great game against Buffalo.
Yeah, 3 goals,
Bandit
2
killer.
assists. And you know what? The other big thing to me, just that stuck out to me is you always say those Buffalo Bandit runs, right? It doesn't matter what the score is. All of a sudden, Buffalo's going to go on that big run on you.
Yeah.
And that's the killer. Rochester didn't allow that one bit.
Well, they had 2 of their own, which were absolutely killer.
Yeah.
Buffalo. Because it looked like Buffalo was starting to get that flow in the first, and then 3 consecutive goals from Zed Williams stopped that dead.
And then look at the second quarter. Ian McKay and Kyle Buchanan get 2 right off the, with 6 minutes and about 4:49. I mean, that was a perfect opportunity where Buffalo could have really grabbed momentum and go on that big run that we talked about.
Yep.
Got stopped dead in its tracks.
Also, Rochester did their homework because Buffalo is notorious for coming out of the half, and while the other team's still trying to get their feet moving, score 4 goals in their run. And Buffalo got no goals in the third. None. In fact, there was only 1 goal scored in the entire quarter, and that was Thomas McConvey on a beautiful leap.
Yeah.
That beat Matt Vince clean.
And when was the last time we saw the Bandits shut out of a quarter?
Yeah. I think it was against, ironically, it was against Toronto. It was 5-0 in the first, and Buffalo won that game. It was February of last year, if I remember right. I did the halftime interview with John Gertler.
Right.
I called it. I told the Buffalo
I do
faithful.
remember that.
Yep.
Yep.
I told the Buffalo faithful that the Bandits will win this game. Lo and behold. But so my question comes to, is this the kryptonite to the Bandits? Is this the Rochester team that is primed and ready now? Because I said this was a litmus test, and they passed with flying colors, not just once but twice in this weekend. And take it. It's one thing to have the Bandits on the first end of a 2-game weekend swing,
Yeah.
but when you have on the back end and you still beat them and fairly soundly, does this go into the column of they're ready?
Yeah, because I had the same thing with you on the pick'ems. I said was Buffalo because you're going to have a tired Rochester team. So I say yes, absolutely. They passed the litmus test. They're primed.
Mike, what do you think?
I think Buffalo needs to worry a little bit about their defense because, now they're down a couple of guys. And I know we've been saying this for going on 5 years now, but, at some point we got to be right about this. The age is going to catch up with them.
Well, I think it's a matter of 2 things there that you brought up there, and when it's put together, age and injury. It's one thing if they have all their guys there and they can kind of work with each other and cover for each other. But when you're down a couple of defensive guys and you're already a little long in the tooth, now it becomes that much harder. And you get that much more tired quicker. And as things moved along, where Buffalo would normally have that fourth quarter that would be, just, everything rolling and shutting down the other team. Rochester got 4 goals in the fourth. They gave up 4 goals because Buffalo was still going to fight, but they were still able to keep up punch, counter punch. And as long as you're up and you're punch, counter punching, you're up.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, we talk about the quote unquote bandit rule. I don't think that's an excuse anymore. We're how many games in now? You should have been able to adjust to that by now.
Ironically,
especially with a veteran group like that.
Yeah.
I see other teams being called for that more than Bandits. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've worked on it, but that's I'll give them credit for the one thing. Y'all listen to the whining and whatever, and this isn't right and that isn't right. I don't hear that from anybody talking about the Bandit rule. It is what it is. Do I hear other? Yeah, the usual stuff.
I hear some saying like it needs some tweaking. Sure, new rules always do. I've never heard anyone saying we need to scrap it completely.
No, I like the rule myself because
Yeah.
I think it was ridiculous before, and now let's see what it's like on an even playing field, where goalies are going to do what goalies have to do. It's funny talking with a number of the older Gales last night, and a lot of them, don't watch the NLL. They can't. The game has been so much different than when they played it, watered down per se. Fast, yes, but watered down. That it's not interesting for them. Throw them in front of some of the 70s or 80s or even 90s mill stuff. Yeah, they're still interested. But, the way things are working here, that was an interesting take. I am working with, just to let you all know, with Doug Louie to put together a roundtable with a number of the older Gales and let the stories be the stories. I think that would be a very interesting hour of some of yesteryear. And, of course, the legendary workouts with Jim Bishop. And, as it was said many times, you're not going to outwork a Gales team. They're going to be the best cardio team in the league because they were notorious for going on a 5-mile jog before a practice. But not just, it'd be in equipment and it'd be with a 5-pound brick in your stick. How would you like that one? I don't want to go on a 5-mile run, let alone with a brick in my stick. So practices were almost like, phew, we only have to go to the practice now. But it was also run and gun kind of offense, right? What he ran to. So I can understand where these guys are saying, the pull up of this and wait for that, and when you would be saying, you were trained to go.
Yeah, guys played two ways, right? A lot of guys played two ways. That yeah.
Well, everybody played two ways at that point because there was no such thing as, specialty players. What specialty players? Specialty players was you made a roster. You're a specialty player. I remember talking with Dave Durrani, and legendary from the Salmon Bellies, and he just it drove him insane of how we used to be the fastest game on 2 feet. Can't say that anymore. If you're running and stopping and waiting, and then running and stopping and waiting, we're not faster than anything. Basketball is quicker with fast breaks. But anyways, let's keep moving because we still have a couple of games to talk about. And this next one, of course, we talked about it because of the Gale stuff. But my goodness, the last thing that I had expected was Oshawa just to go absolutely on attack. The first thing, of course, Randy Stott scores on a power play a few minutes into the game. And I'm thinking, okay, I've seen this one before. But Ethan Walker scores, ties it up about a minute later. Pat Kostiuk, beautiful play, unassisted. And it's 2-1 for Oshawa. And it's still a very attainable game. It's going back and forth and up and around. Enter the birthday boy, Ty Kurtz, who gets a natural hat trick in the end of the first quarter. Alex Simmons doing a lot of the work in that for 2 of those goals. Dyson Williams, a beautiful setup for the other one. But here you are, and it is 5-1 for Oshawa, and the place is just going nuts. Another sellout. Sorry, Albany fans, but they're loving it. And I had a little chat with one of the owners. And every game has been a sellout now. And this is the first one where we've seen exactly what Oshawa can do when they're on all cylinders. Jackson Nishimura diving across the crease opens the scoring in the second quarter. Clark Peterson gets one back on the power play, but Ty Kurtz with his fourth goal of the game, converting an Ethan Walker pass, and it's 7-2. Alex Simmons comes right back, not 20 seconds later, and it's 8-2. Taggart Clark on the power play. Gee, you don't hear that very often, do you? Oshawa power play goal. Ethan Walker with another
when you're playing
play.
Halifax.
Well, yeah, you're going to have to take care of that one. But this was a two-man advantage that all of a sudden, bang, 2 goals. And then, of course, you have Ty Kurtz with his 5th of the half. And it's 11-2 at halftime. And the party zone is happening in the Tribute Community Center. What do you do when you come out of the break? Well, you score 2 more power play goals. Alex Simmons and Taggart Clark with power play goals. Halifax finally mounts a little bit of offense. By now, by the way, Warren Hill was replaced in the second with Drew Hutchison. Dawson Theed gets a power play goal. Clark Peterson then scores a minute later. And, well, Halifax in the building. It's 13-4. I don't think that they're doing much, and I don't think it really created much of a havoc. Ty Kurtz scores on the power play, and that's goal number 6. Christian Watts, we were talking about him. He got into the lineup, and he scored for Halifax in transition off a Curtis Romanchuk pass. Beautiful goal. Might be good trade bait, yeah? Kurtz with his 7th goal to open up the fourth quarter. Then all the brouhaha. Every 4 seconds there was another schmoz. Some wound up with a couple of punches, some wound up with just a lot of jibber jabbering and things like that, just enough to really add length to the game. This first little while, though, at this point, Doug Jamieson was replaced by Andrew Kidd. We thought maybe it was just, get Kidd some minutes, and things are getting rough. Why put your goalie into that situation? But it turned out that Jamieson was battling cramps a good chunk of the game. He shut down Halifax for most of the night while battling cramps. Just digest that one for a second.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Andrew Kidd comes in and really in a tough spot because at this point, Oshawa is in penalty trouble with all the stuff that was going on. And on a 2-man advantage, Randy Stott scored, followed by Dawson Theed. We're still with the 1-man advantage. And a couple of minutes later, Randy Stott scores again on the power play. So it's just kind of tough to come in cold and face, power play after power play. The silliness continues, and this time Halifax is down. Ethan Walker scores on the power play. Ryan Terefenko gets one last one for Halifax with about 1.2 seconds left in the game. A little bit too little, a little bit too late. And Halifax loses this one 16-9 to an absolutely juggernautish Oshawa team, where for the first time all season, both the offense and the defense were on the same page and working well. Doug Jamieson looked good for the 3.5 quarters he was in. Andrew Kidd kept his ground. Now, we had a number of silly things going on, one of which was Dawson Theed running through the crease, looking like he was going right after Andrew Kidd, which created a whole lot of havoc in there as well. and got the ire of Colton Watkinson and a few other players and Deed and the rest of that, and just a whole bunch of unnecessary stuff. The interview that I have, though, is from the birthday boy. Let's listen to Ty Kurtz for a second.
Is there any better way to celebrate?
The win was all we were looking for. You know, I was fortunate the ball was dropping tonight, but I think it's just a testament to the selflessness overall of our offense, right? It's someone new every night. It doesn't have to be the same guy. We have so many weapons up there, young, talented guys that can put the ball in. So I was fortunate that it was dropped for me a couple times. But yeah, I think it just speaks to our whole offense.
What was the difference from tonight from previous games for the offense?
Yeah, I think, we kind of stuck to it. I think we were gripping our sticks a little tight. Obviously, that game against them last time was a bit of an anomaly for us. But still doing the same thing. Obviously, I don't like to look into too much stuff, but then playing last night, obviously, probably played a factor to their legs, and they're probably, thinking that as well. But we just had to capitalize, and then we were fortunate to come out hot and get a lead. Some penalties kind of got us in trouble there for a little bit, but I think just sticking to our principles, swinging the ball, coming over the top, getting the balls in the corner, and just playing free, right? We're a young team, we're a young offense, not too much better in leadership. Ethan Walker does a great job kind of reeling us all in, but just swinging the ball, moving fast. Our key is speed. We're not a big, burly team that's gonna, seal guys down for 4 or 5 seconds, right? We're pick, slip, move, get out of the way, keep going, next guy up. So we start principles.
How much focus was getting to the middle tonight?
Yeah, it's a lot. They built a wall. They're a great defense. They got all world players in that team. Getting to the middle was a huge thing. Getting there early. Obviously hitting some outside shots early in the game kind of dragged them out a little bit. But yeah, they got a goalie who's playing out of his mind right now. Obviously playing back to back again is a hard thing to do. But just getting in the middle and stretching the floor and getting them to extend on us was a big part of it.
Is that kind of like a key point to the offense right now, is trying to focus on working inside out rather than just up and down the wall?
Yeah, it's pretty easy to play defense on guys going up and down the side when guys are willing to get to the middle. And we got 7, 8, 9 guys on our roster, no matter who's playing, that are willing to get to the middle for us. And everyone's got a role. And I think we got a lot of guys that don't need the ball. And all the guys that do that like the ball, they're willing to go inside too. And we're really, pushing guys who, don't carry the ball as much to carry the ball, right? Everyone's in this league for a reason, and everyone can shoot the ball from anywhere. So it's, it's just by committee at this point. We're just everyone's up and down, in and out, going through the middle, behind the net. We call it going through the wash, and that's kind of our biggest.
And that's Ty Kurtz, 7 goals on the night. Now, interestingly enough, again, we're talking about the face-off thing. Well, Jake Withers went 24-4. Pretty good weekend for him on a broken finger. Now, he was putting on a show because he's an Oshawa fireman. So I'm sure he had a lot of his buddies in the crowd, as well as family and friends, from the Peterborough era. Shots on goal, 57-53 in favor of Oshawa. So, Jameson and Kidd saw a lot of rubber. Had great games. Here's the interesting one, right? Halifax did not score a 5-on-5 goal in this game. They had, I believe they had 8 or 6 power play goals, a couple of shorthanded goals. And that's it. Crazy, eh?
Yeah, and going back to the broken record, 11 power plays for Oshawa.
Yeah, and 6 goals.
Yeah,
it takes them usually 6 games to get 6 power play goals.
And that's the thing. Like, it went on to NLL stats. I don't know how up to date they are quite yet, but I mean, as no surprise here, Halifax leads the league with 160 penalty minutes. Oshawa's the next with 107 penalty minutes. 53-minute difference between first and third. That's pretty significant.
You can see that last night, though. There was 124 minutes of penalties doled out in the fourth quarter. And I actually give the referees a lot of credit because with all those misconducts and things like that they were putting out there, kept a lot of this nonsense off the floor.
Yeah. So
that we didn't get further than we already did. We had 5 separate occasions where we're doing this. So, starting to put these 10 minutes and 10 minutes and 10 minutes. So just to get this cleaned up, let's get out of here. Because at that point, you're talking about a game that's 16-8 with a few minutes left. And Glenn Clark, the coach of the of Oshawa, brought it up too, is that the league needs to look into things like this of guys trying to deliberately hurt other guys or other things in there, and they need to take a look at it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's what I saw with Halifax when they were in Saskatchewan, is just kind of their style of play, where they're known to take a lot of penalties. You on the other side have to be disciplined. You can't get goaded into that.
Yep.
Into that type of play.
Yeah, let them take the penalties and just score the power play goals and just make them pay and hurt them on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
But again, the most complete game that Oshawa has played to this point of the season, and the barn was rocking. The barn was rocking. And the post-game party was rocking too. It was nice to see Nick Dachenko, Sweet Lou, the DJ, and former Toronto Rock player. It was good to have a few words with him after the game as well and catch up. Something interesting, I interviewed him 15 years ago when he was at the Rock. So we're talking about, we'll do it now. We have a different aspect to talk about now. But him and his brother both had time in the NLL. All right, we have one more game to touch on, and that was Colorado and Georgia in a pitcher's duel. And, after all this high-scoring stuff of Saskatchewan and Oshawa, we have a 7-5 game.
Yeah, not much to cover here. Colorado does get the split of the series. 2 weeks ago they lost 12-3 at home to Georgia. So a little measure of revenge, and the two big stars were in net. Dylan Ward, 39 saves and only 5 goals allowed for Colorado. Brett Dobson on the other side had 50 saves and only 6 goals allowed. Power play woes in this game, unlike some of these other games this week. Colorado just 2 for 7, and Georgia went 2 for 5 on the power play. Scorers for Colorado included Will Malcolm with a goal and an assist. Jack Hanna had a goal and an assist. And then they had 5 guys, each with a goal. Owen Ron, Thomas Vella. Ari Stevens got his first career goal. Dylan McIntosh. And then Warren Jeffrey added the empty netter at the end. Jalen Chester had 3 assists. For Georgia, not much to speak of, unfortunately. Shane Jackson, pair of goals. Lyle Thompson, a goal and 2 assists. Nolan Byrne and Jordan McIntosh each had a goal and an assist. Brian Cole had 2 assists on the night. Caleb Benedict and Richie Connell each had an assist. Colorado did get out, out in front first, and really kind of responded in the second half. Every time Georgia cut the lead to 1, they took advantage of a couple of their 2 power play goals at the end of the first half to take a 4-2 lead into the half. And then every time Georgia cut the deficit to 1, Colorado had an answer for it. So, I mean, I like both teams, but I'm concerned about teams at this point. Colorado's 3-2, but it seems like they, one game they show up, the next game they're non-existent. Georgia, obviously we've talked about the lack of offense. It's only been overshadowed by Oshawa's lack of offense up until last night.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much Colorado's missing Ryan Lee.
Well, that's a big chunk, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. And I mean, well, See, I think it's more than that because I think it's Ryan Lee. It's not having Andrew Q. It's, they're still not going to have Eli McLaughlin. I mean, if they get him back at all this year, from the probationary period for firemen, I mean, it'll probably be sometime in March or even early April.
Yeah, 'cause that's kind of where I sit. I mean, you could make the excuse, if you will, of the injury bug hit in Colorado, but George is healthy.
They are, and here they are. Again, putting up only 5 goals. With an offense that has 2 league MVPs on it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't rely on Brett Dobson to be. I mean, this is almost the same conversation we had last year about Ottawa, where it was you can't just rely on Jeff Teat to be all the offense and Zach Higgins to stand on his head every night. It's not going to happen. And Georgia seems like they're falling into that kind of that rut where it's okay. Brett Dobson's going to have another phenomenal game and we're going to scrape by.
Right. Lyle Thompson again. Goal and 2 assists. I know we're talking about beating the dead horse, but this isn't what we've seen in the past.
It's definitely not. And, I mean, same thing, I guess, same question that we just asked with Blaze Reardon. Does he need a change of scenery?
Right. We've been talking about that.
With his brother's not there anymore. Brendan Bobberry got traded. So, I mean, not that there aren't, other Indigenous players on that team. But you have to wonder, and you have to wonder what. I mean, he means a lot to that franchise.
He does, and I know I've been kind of back and forth on it too. Like maybe just wait out and see how things kind of go at the trade deadline, but his stock's starting to fall. So maybe just kind of start picking up the phone.
I don't know if I'm a fan. I mean, we've heard all the talk, especially with now next week. They're going to be heading to Calgary. They're going to be heading to play Calgary in Edmonton. So they kind of lose one of their home games for the year. And double whammy, they do play Calgary twice this year. So they're going to be traveling up to Alberta for both of those games against Calgary. So the unboxed game is next week. Against a hungry Calgary team.
Like Calgary team, like I said, I think it's better than their record shows.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, if I'm a fan, I mean, I can live through the rebuild, but I don't know. I think a lot of the fan base is not going to be happy if Lyle Thompson gets dealt away at the trade deadline.
Well, that's the other thing too, is with all the stuff he does for the area, that'd be tough.
That's big. And just thinking about that, I mean, he has been arguably, you can argue at worst, you can argue that he has been the game's biggest ambassador for the last decade. And maybe something folks haven't considered is the toll that additional responsibility has taken on him.
Yeah, that's just the thing. Like, great ambassador, I don't deny any of that. It's absolutely true. But the business side of things sucks.
Yeah.
As much as the fans want to see him say, as much as, how much he does off the field, you have to look at the on field. It's not winning. It's not a winning situation. The business side sucks. Sometimes you have to make a decision that's just not popular because that's the business side of things.
Yeah, I agree. But, something has to happen because Georgia, I don't know, this is the lowest output I've ever really since they moved to Georgia that I've seen them with in any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I mean, geez, this was a record-setting offense the year they won the Cup in 2017.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just
even the years that they didn't win the Cup, they were still a juggernaut. They could put up anytime they wanted, double digits. Here, I think they need 2 games put together.
And I'm looking ahead here to next year. They do have 2 first-round draft picks. They have their own. They have Colorado's from the Andrew Q for Connor Kelly trade.
Right.
That's that conditional pick that if sorry, let me.
But just while you're looking at that, to look at a couple of the numbers here, with Brian Cole and Caleb Benedict, with just a couple of assists each and no goals. To look at Ben Trumbull, who had a great year in Peterborough and really was apt to, get the thing running and nothing. And then you can keep going down the list. You're waiting for Jordan McIntosh to do your scoring for you. That's frightening. If that's how you're getting your offense is, one of the oldest guys on the team as a defensive player.
Yeah, and taking advantage of a defensive gaffe there with Dylan Ward coming out to try to play a ball or run interference, and he ends up colliding with his own teammate, leaving an empty net.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that first round pick, that's that conditional pick that right now it's Georgia's, but it converts into Colorado's first round selection in 2028 if the Mammoth finish in the bottom 5 this year in the standings.
They score 7 goals in a game. They might. I don't get it because Colorado, I realize Ryan Lee's out, but he's not the only scorer in this team. But we got a whole lot of not much going on.
No, and I mean, granted, it's, Jack Hanna's just getting into this offense.
He made a splash last week, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean,
well, to their credits, both Dylan Ward and Brett Dobson played great. It's not like there weren't any shots because it was 57-44 in shots, which means that Brett Dobson was absolutely unreal.
Fits a lot of rubber.
But again, that makes me wonder about defenses. Right? If there's that many shots on both sides, there's not a whole lot of defense going on.
Yeah, and I mean, again, with Andrew Q out, that's another big piece. I mean, if he can come back, that left side is pretty stable with him, Will Malcolm, Thomas Vella. But the right side is suffering a bit.
It hurts, yeah.
Yeah.
You've got younger guys who kind of need to get reps in Braden Saris and even Owen Ron.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mind you, Owen Ron has shown signs even last year of really, taking the ball and running with it. Pardon the pun. Braden Saris, I know that he can do this. I watched him just absolutely lighted up, both in Coburg and in Peterborough.
Yeah.
Against formidable competition like Six Nations. So if you can do it against that all-star squad, you can do it against any other NLL squad too. It's just being able to take advantage of the opportunity, I think. And I think as soon as he knows he's in all the time, then he can release a little bit. But it's just weird because Colorado 1 week is, they'll score 14. The next week they'll get you 5. And I can't, for the life of me, I can't figure them out yet this year.
Yeah, there needs to be some more consistency. And
definitely,
I mean, not for nothing, but Tyson Gibson signed with Las Vegas in the offseason.
Right.
I've yet to see him play. Am I correct on that? Has he appeared in a game for Las Vegas yet?
No.
Nope.
He has not.
Now the only issue with that is, they just gave up. You just gave up an awful lot for Jack Hanna because you were kind of backed into a corner.
Yeah.
With the situation with that trade.
Yeah, it doesn't look good down the road a little bit for a little while.
Yeah. To turn around and then inquire about Gibson, almost seems like, you got to give up another big haul.
Right.
But, was it Colorado that Aaron Woods was cut in training camp?
Yes, because him and Nate Woods were both on the Colorado squad and both got cut last week.
So gotta wonder about that.
I already got Aaron Woods going to Philadelphia. Sorry.
Well, good. Then that allows me to say for like the 5th week in a row, Dan Littner, line 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
He just fell off the map, eh? Completely fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah. You want a guy who's not afraid to go to the net.
Well, yeah. At 5'8". He was happy to be right there in the
5'8" and fearless,
fearless, yeah. Anyways, let's have a look at what's upcoming because looking at this week, in my week of pick'ems, I'm using blindfold and darts. I have no idea
I think we all are.
Colorado is into Halifax. I don't know what Colorado team is taking a flight. I really don't. Hopefully one that has a good power play.
Yeah, I was going to say, we know Halifax is going to take a ton of penalties. We know that's a given. So,
Yep. You got Ottawa into Buffalo. Is Buffalo the Buffalo team that I saw a couple of weeks ago, or is it the one I watched yesterday in Rochester? Will Jeff Teat have an opportunity to run wild with Riley O'Connor and Connor Kiernan, or are they going to be locked down with a Buffalo defense that's got a couple of bodies extra in there to try and do it because these guys can run them ragged?
And can the Ottawa defense prevent a 6+ goal run?
Yeah.
Calgary and Georgia. I actually like Calgary's chances in this one right now.
I do.
I haven't seen Georgia score any goals.
Yeah.
San Diego, Vancouver. Again, if there's something that's ailing for Vancouver, this could be exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yep, especially if Chris Aguilera is still out.
Well, it was a groin injury, so I don't think that heals in a week.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we saw Dunkerley can get it done. He's not a slouch.
Yeah, Dunkerley's not a bad goalie.
No.
By any stretch. He's capable of being a starting goalie.
He needs help in front of him.
He needs some offense.
Yeah, we need some defense, period, right? But anyways, we got Toronto into Rochester. I am hoping that my heart says Toronto, my head says Rochester, and I'm hoping that somewhere along the line the two shall meet. But just what I'm seeing in Rochester could be a long evening if Toronto is not playing their absolute A+ game. Oshawa and Saskatchewan. Excuse me. If this game happened last week, I would say Saskatchewan in a cakewalk. What I watched yesterday with Oshawa and everything working, it's reminded me of a team of a couple of years ago where everything was working. And if Jameson is playing as strong as Jameson can play, this could be a really, really interesting game.
Yeah, a lot different than playing Landon Kells.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, and defense has to be tight because you know that Oshawa can put up goals. And the last 2 weeks, they've put up 20-something goals, right? 16 and almost 30-something goals.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the idea of having 20 goals in 4 games, that's a thing of the past. Right? Kind of interesting. They almost have that in each of the last 2 games from what they did in the first 4 games.
Yep.
Yep.
And they're starting to believe in each other. And they're a little bit more freewheeling. And when the defense is working too, as we saw yesterday, they can be pretty stingy. And if Jameson is seeing the shots, this could be an interesting game. This is actually my game of the week now. The must-see. Because next off, we have Philadelphia and Vegas. And, well, can Philadelphia find offense to go with their defense? Can Vegas find defense to go with their offense? Interesting turn. It's another one where I need it's going to be my pick'em week.
Yeah.
I may look like I may go whatever 0-6 or 0-5, whatever it is, or 0-6,
7.
0-7,
7.
0-7. I may go 7-7. Who knows? But God knows I won't be. I will probably change my mind on every single game 3 times this week. Just from the way, in a sense, it's great because that means parity is here. That anybody can win on any night. But God,
Oh yeah.
a caveat to y'all: if you all are betting your mortgage or looking to get your mortgage on my bet picks, don't be doing that. Don't do it. A couple of weeks ago, maybe. Not this week.
No.
Because this is a hard week for gamblers. Very simple. But, you know, I will tell you to go and check out Patrick Major. I've been doing press conferences with him and doing the Oshawa games with him, and he follows along with us. And he's got a pretty cool thing on Daily Dive of doing the sports handicapping of these games. So maybe give him a little check out because they all seem to be pretty good with their parlays last night and picking the stuff up. And you know, me, the guy who went 5-0 the first night and went 1-2 yesterday. I'm not the guy. They are. You can find him on Twitter. So have a look for him. Anyways, that'll wrap us up in this marathon because there's just so many NLL games to take care of and so much to discuss. We are going to start to look at more of the who's hot and who's not idea weekly and see exactly who needs help and who doesn't. And I think that's going to be pretty interesting when we start putting our minds together on this one, and we can see if we can create a Frankenstein. Anyways, just a reminder, everybody, we are on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Thread. We are on YouTube as well as on www.streampunkentertainment.com. Please come and check us out, especially on our Facebook flagship page at All Across All the Time, 3, 4, 5 times a day because the news is always changing and we have our thumbs on the pulse of the situation and we are up to date and accurate with what we are bringing to you. And it is not only our pleasure, but our privilege to give you the information as we can get it to you. That brings us to last words. And Shawn, I'm going to start with you this week.
Yeah, no, you know what, the game that really actually stands out to me, we mentioned is that Calgary-Georgia game actually, just because, like I said before, I think this Calgary team, they're just on the cusp. they're on the cusp of something, and I think there's something there. So we'll see if it's against Georgia.
Right, Mike. Last words to you.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of teams that stumbled this past weekend. Interesting to see how they're going to bounce back, particularly Halifax. I would say Buffalo as well, and even Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
How they can capitalize on a win and keep momentum going.
Right. Well, me yesterday was fun because before the game there was a pre-party with the Gales and that, and a couple of little draws, and of course I didn't win the signed Gales jersey, but both myself and my wife won these beautiful Oshawa Fire World flags that we carried in the parade. So not bad, not bad. Add it to the stuff around here, and one day, the stuff's going to come falling down. It's just going to be all kinds of equipment and magazines and books and other things, and just arms and legs. And if you happen to walk into the office here and see arms and legs and stuff, dig me out, please, because there's a lot of really cool things in here, and lots of we'll call it ancient stuff. There's some programs and things like that from the 70s and 80s, and a lot of stuff from the 90s, and Hall of Fame things, and other tidbits and equipment, and all kinds of things. So one day I'll actually catalog this thing. I probably have a book that's this thick. But anyways, thank you as always to everybody who is watching and staying with us, and it's been a pleasure again to see everybody at the live arenas and to talk lacrosse with all of you. I love it. So please feel free to come up and bend my ear, because I love chatting. And I'll be in Rochester this weekend, weather permitting. It's tough to get through that Buffalo corridor, but it looks like, as I took a look at the long range forecast, Mother Nature is going to cooperate. So I should be in Rochester for the Rochester game. So it'll be interesting. Anyways, for Shawn Slaght over Moose Jaw, from Muffler Mike in Connecticut, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto, wishing you the best of weeks. Remember, keep your sticks high, keep your spirits higher, and until we meet again next Sunday at 8 p.m., have a great week, everybody. Take care.